Step one, when we come to growing into this idea of forming a creative strategy for what we're doing, is knowing what we actually want to get out of this. Now, I guess before all that, you want to know who you are and who you do it for and why you're doing it and all those, like that Simon Sinek, the asking yourself why you're doing things. I'm assuming you've already done all that. You know why you're in your business. You know whether it's your passion or not. You know why you're doing it. This is more about then choosing what you want to get out of your social media, whether it's paid or just posting stuff onto Facebook feed or your Instagram stories, wherever it happens to be, understanding why you want to do that. What do you want to get out of it? You've got to match what your goals in business are with the creative strategy you're going to use. And that's simply because one colors the results of the other. You go straight in and create a creative strategy without any sort of idea behind you of what you want to achieve with it. All you're doing is coming up with pretty pictures. What this does is make sure that if your business goals are for more people to know who you are, for more people to engage with you on social media, and then for more people to buy from you when the time is right, then your creative strategy is going to reflect that. It's going to give you the guidelines that you need to be able to do that. I'll just also remember too, this is live on a webinar right now. So if you've got questions along the way, please, I've got my chat window up here on my big monitor. So please do let me know if you've got any questions along the way. I'll be happy to answer those live. And if you're a bit shy with asking them, that's okay. Just let me know in the chat that you just you don't want your name mentioned or something like that. All I get is first names. So I don't really get a lot of detail on who you are. So when it comes to choosing an objective, you need to be able to understand whether what you want to do, and this will change from post to post and ad to ad. It doesn't have to be the same every single time. And whilst most of us look for conversion, or which means creating a customer, someone buying something is the ultimate thing you want to do, you got to understand there's a bit of a journey that goes on with customers. They don't just simply go, yes, I want to buy that. And very well, sometimes they do. Like me at the checkout, when I see, Snickers bars on special for half price, I don't have a customer journey towards buying that Snickers bar. I just pick that sucker up and it goes in with the rest of my Flybuys points. So it's sometimes there's impulsive things that we'll buy and we go straight to that conversion point. But at some point in my life, I first became aware of Snickers as a chocolate bar, and I tried that chocolate bar. I liked that chocolate bar. A whole lifetime of advertising and marketing and placement in the checkout aisles at Coles and Woolworths over my life has ensured that I'm in a position to always be aware of who Snickers is, always be considering buying one, and always be in a position to buy one. So there has actually been, even though it's only $1 to $2 to buy that Snickers bar, there's been a customer journey of a lifetime that's actually led to that. It didn't just magically happen that one day I went, I'm going to buy a Snickers. There was stuff that happened along the way that made me want to buy that Snickers. So the first stage is awareness, where someone is becoming aware of what it is you do. The second is consideration. The third is conversion, and how that translates then into platforms like Facebook or into pretty much anywhere where there's advertising or some kind of marketing going on in social media or a digital platform. We look at then, well, the awareness objectives are there to help you to reach as many people as possible or to increase brand recall. So in the Facebook ads platform, awareness is literally brand awareness and reach are the two objectives you can use to set up an ads campaign in Facebook if you're looking to make people aware of you. If you're just simply posting to Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or Pinterest or wherever you want to go, these are the kind of posts you're putting in place that let people know who you are. And you generally create stuff that's going to be easy for people to share, or memorable enough, or clever enough, or fun enough, or entertaining enough for people to want to share about you. It's not going down price point. It's not going, here's my address. It's not going, here's our staff's birthday. It's attention grabbing stuff that makes people want to share it. And that may change the idea of all the things you think of that you would post, where you go, well, I'm just putting out prices and products and where I am and my position and all that. Well, this is a different way of looking at it. This is looking at just getting attention and making people knowing who you are. Remember the Snickers Bar Journey? At some point in my childhood, I was introduced to a Snickers bar for the first time. It may have been through advertising. It may have been through being given a gift from my grandmother, or to shut me up if I was crying out in the street, or whatever the reason was. I'd never been aware of a Snickers bar, and now I was. And once I'd actually had that Snickers bar, it now becomes part of my consideration of every time I need to self-soothe. I want to treat myself, just treat for getting through a hard day. Oh, have a Snickers bar. That kind of toxic behavior we go through with food. So an awareness objective is basically to get attention. You want people to know who you are. You want an opportunity for people to understand who it is you are, so they'll remember it. And so when they have a time down the track where they need whatever it is you do, whether it's personal coaching, whether it is occupational therapy, whether it is scented candles, whether it is a service like home cleaning, the people will think of you when they need that, because they've been introduced to who you are. So that's what we would go at the beginning of the customer journey towards you. The middle of the customer journey is consideration. And this is where they know who you are. They know what you do. They're aware of it. They just need a bit of a reminder, because they're now shopping around for the options in what you do. So using the example of a home cleaner, that home cleaner could be in a position where they are up against 50 other home cleaners in that particular part of the city that they live in. So they know that they need to do a lot of work to get people aware of who they are. That could be television, radio, Facebook ads, YouTube. It could be going to networking events and all that. That's the previous stuff. That's awareness. Now we get to the consideration. This is where we start to educate people a bit more about what we do. So the creative decisions we're going to make are within the framework then of educating people more about why they should choose you. So it might not be just because you're cheaper. It may not be because you cover all hours or work 24 hours, or cover every suburb, or all those other cliches like we're the best in the business and we care. Our focus is on customer service. Every business's focus should be on customer service. Good service is an expectation, not a feature. So the consideration objectives you would have then in something like the Facebook ads platform would be things that allow people to click through to things like your website. So that's a website traffic objective, to engage with your post, which is called engagement. There could be to download your app if you have an app for whatever reason, or to watch your videos. They've got one called video views, and video views are really important because they allow you to work with the idea that you've got as many people as possible to view a video. So that's one of my favorite objectives in here, is to produce a video that educates people and gets out to as many people as I possibly can, to educate them on the reasons why they would choose my service over one of my competitors. So it could be a very similar thing for you. The idea is to inform and educate beyond what they already know about you. So what they already know about you is you're a home cleaner or you're an occupational therapist. Now you've got the opportunity to revisit them again, either through an ad or through another post that may reach them on social media, to educate them on why they choose you, what's specific about you that they want to choose you. And it could be your personality. It could be because you've got a big smile and they feel comfortable with you. Or it could just simply be because you're the closest one to them. Whatever those reasons that's comfortable to you, all your creative decisions you're going to make, what kind of video, what kind of colors, what kind of tone of voice you're going to use, are going to be colored by the fact that you're now in that consideration zone. So then when we finally move on to the conversion zone, we know that people know who you are. They've got all the reasons in the world of why to choose you, but now they're kind of on the edge of their seat, ready to make that decision. Now, in the ads platform, that will be delivered through a store visit ad that encourages people to visit your store, or it could be a conversion ad that's designed to lead them to an online location where they'll either make an inquiry, make a booking with you, download something you want them to download, or in many cases, to get to your website and buy something that they can buy and pay for right then and there. The conversion objective gets people at the point where they're going to make that decision. They've made the decision that they want to choose either you or someone else. So they're still considering between the two, but you can deliver something when they visit your website or visit your social media properties that gives them the reason to take the plunge over. Now, of course, you cannot know from day to day who is at what part of that journey. How would you know? You don't know, you can't follow people around the streets to know that they're in that position where they're shopping around in different places in your suburb. You also don't have the power to be able to get in their heads to understand where they are. But this is where you then have a strategy that would make sure that in your social media posts, you always have something that's pointing to people who are not aware of who you are. You always have something that is pointing to those who are making decisions based upon what they find out about you and your competitors. And then finally, there's something which gives them a reason to take the plunge and jump in and deal with you right now. And that is kind of what we call a sales funnel. The sales funnel starts off at the top in awareness, where people don't really know who you are. And there's a lot of them, and you can put an ad out or some kind of post that's designed for the broadest amount of people as possible. Or that post then could be a consideration post, which is designed for people who already know who you are, but to give them some reasons to consider you. And then finally, those who know who you are, know what you do, and you're in their consideration, they're already considering you. Now, you give them the reason to take that final push and take that leap of faith and work with you instead of your competitor. Now, all three of those can be present in your social media properties, let's say a Facebook page, by simply being there. So on Monday, you might have done an awareness post. On Wednesday, you did a consideration post. On Friday, you've done a conversion post. And then maybe Sunday, you do another awareness. Tuesday, you might have a bit of a pattern you go by, but you always make sure that post number 1 is geared towards people who don't know you. Post number 2 is geared towards people who do know you, but would like to have more information. Post number 3 is then about a reason for them to buy from you. So how does that look in a social media environment? Where do we sort of understand how that works? It's simply because not everyone's going to see a post. We get that with Facebook and Instagram. It's not just because you put it out there that everyone's going to see it. They're not. But there's a little concept I call social proof. And social proof is where I recommend to my friend Josh that he should go and buy this product from this person. Josh isn't just going to take my recommendation and just go, yeah, because you said it, I'll do it. Josh is going to do a little bit of research. He's going to go to your Facebook page, your website, look for you on Google and sort of scope you out and see if you are really for him. And he gets there and he sees that you haven't posted for 6 months or since 2016 in some cases. He's like, oh, this doesn't really look like the kind of business I want to work with. And then the whole journey towards you by Josh, despite my best recommendation I could have given, was stopped because you've given him no reason to trust you. So where do we go from there? How do we then provide that reason for him to trust you? Well, it's simple, 3 posts a week. And those posts can be repeated every few weeks if you like. You don't have to come up with new stuff all the time because you're not trying to show off. You're not trying to go viral. You're just trying to be reassuring. So you show someone who is referred to you by other means, by television ads, radio ads, flyers in the mailbox, by someone linking you in a local buy, sell, and swap or community helper group who links to your page, and they see that there's something there. And they don't have to go far down the page before they see something that relates to where they're at. So the chances are 1 in 3 that the first post they're going to see is going to be relevant to where they're at, either at the awareness or the consideration or the conversion zone of where they're at with on their journey to you. So the idea is that no one just goes to the page, simply looks at it and gets out. They look at it, they swipe down a bit, and they'll go through 3 to 6 different posts to look for the thing that really reaches out to them. Depending on where they are, awareness, consideration, or conversion, within that flick, they're going to see all 3 of those stages. The chances are they're going to see the stage they're at with you. And that message you'll have in there, and the creative, the photo, the graphic, the video, whatever you're using, the colors even, are going to call to them. They're going to understand that that's relevant to them and go, oh yeah, this is definitely, I can see why Dante recommended me to go and see these guys. This seems to be exactly the place where I need to be. So with all that, understanding that you don't have to be a slave to having to go viral. You don't have to be a slave to creating the most wonderful creative stuff ever. You don't have to pump out 1,000 stories a day to promote who you are. You could probably go with 3 posts a week just to show that you're still alive and kicking. Or 1 post a week done over 3 posts could do the same thing. As long as when people land on your site, on your Facebook page, they can see that you've been doing stuff. You're alive and well. You're kicking. You're doing your thing, and you're active. That's very reassuring for someone because we often go to Google, like I did today, for a cafe that I was having a meeting with just before this particular webinar. I looked up this cafe that I know quite well. I looked up on Google to see if they were open, and they were open. Great. Okay. So I went to the cafe, and of course, they were closed. And the sign on the door, even their trading hours, says that they should be open. So if I had have gone to Facebook to look that up, I might have seen an update. Oh, sorry, we've got a problem today. We can't open because we're lack of staff or whatever reason. But suffice to say, I will never trust that cafe again. They've burnt me once. I was supposed to have a meeting there, and a really important meeting. And so when that person showed up to have a meeting with me, I said, oh, sorry, this is closed. And you probably think the thought they're having is, wouldn't you have checked that before you came here, mate? And of course I did. I checked in all the places possible. I'll never trust them again. And if I go to their social media now, there's nothing in their social media for the last 3 months. So I don't even know whether they're even still open. They aren't. The idea is that they have broken the social proof cycle. They had nothing in there that talks about, the awareness of that cafe. They have nothing in there about why I should consider going to them to get a meal or to get a coffee. And they had certainly no way for me to have some kind of conversion with them simply because, well, they weren't even open for me to buy something from. So that social proof becomes incredibly valuable because we simply don't trust Google much anymore. We simply don't trust what a friend has told us that you should go there. I went on a friend's recommendation, go to that place because it's great and it's always open. And I went and checked it. Oh yeah, they've got great opening hours. They're open pretty much all day right into the night. No, not today they weren't. Depending on where someone is at in their journey to you, your objectives may change. So if you're doing that 3 posts a week thing where you've always got at least 3 posts at the top of your feed in your page, or the 3 posts in your Instagram that are all across the top row there and they're recent, you don't have to worry too much about where someone's at in their journey to you because those first 3 things, one of those is going to relate directly to where they are. But let's just say you're doing an ad campaign. And your ad campaign may be that you just need more people to know that you exist. That's the big problem with small businesses half the time. We just need people to know who we are. And then maybe they'll come to us. Well, your objectives then won't be then on a conversion. You're not trying to sell something on there. You're just trying to get people to know who you are so they can look for you. And that's the way most people do it. Get recommended something, they see an ad on TV, and then they go and Google that up to see where it is. And they go, oh, okay, there it is. And they forget about it for a while. Until the time when they need to buy a pineapple shirt. And then they want to buy that pineapple shirt. They'll look, oh, where's that place that was on the TV the other day? Pineappleshirts.com. Great. And then they go straight there and they look at pineappleshirts.com and they get the site and then they know how to buy from you. So you wouldn't have a conversion ad or maybe a video views ad necessarily if you just wanted people to know who you are. So the flavor, the creative approach you're going to take are all going to be very different. Hard selling at the point of awareness is a really bad move to make because it's very aggressive and it assumes that someone that you even have the right to ask someone to buy them when they don't even know you. They certainly haven't had a chance to like you and they do not trust you yet, not yet. But as they get to the consideration stage, they now know you. They might even like you. They don't know if they trust you yet. They're still trying to work out whether they know all they need to know about you before they can go, oh, yeah, I kind of trust this now. Look at those reviews. So depending on where the customer is at and how you want to reach them, then your objectives and the creative decisions you're going to make are going to change along the way. So first of all, you need to pick out in any sort of campaign, any sort of post. So it could be an ads campaign, it could be a post, it could be a blog, it could be a blog article on your website. You want to identify whether the goal for this particular post, this blog, this ad is whether you want to get known, whether you want to be considered more deeply about whether they're going to choose you, or whether you want them to buy from you then and now. Because this is going to color everything. This is going to make your decision about everything from colors, if you know sort of the theories behind color therapy and color in marketing and why McDonald's uses red and yellow and why Kentucky Fried Chicken also uses red and why Red Rooster is also red, apart from the name being Red Rooster, literally, and why Hungry Jack's uses red. There's a psychology to those colors that causes people to stop and consider straight away whether they want to shop with that. It's like a danger color in nature for us. Red, redback spiders, red belly black snakes, all that sort of thing. Red is usually in nature a danger color. So we look at, okay, are people then going to be looking at us to just get known to us? Do we want people to consider buying from us because we assume they already know who we are because we've been around for 30 years? Or do I need them to buy something from me right away? So once you've identified that, then you move on to your next part of the process, which is identifying what you want people to do once they see that post or that ad. And this is what we call a call to action. So if you've ever heard that term call to action, that's what this is. It's where you make a decision on what's next. So your customers on the journey, trudging through life, coming across lots of ads, and then they come across yours and they look at it and go, oh, okay, so what do I do? And you'll probably notice a lot of ads of things like those brand ads on television. If you ever come across them, or Chemist Warehouse ads are always very good at this. They'll introduce a product and they'll say, this product here is going to help you with your digestive problems and with your gastric reflux and all that. So, and you get it at Chemist Warehouse. So it says, here's something which you can probably relate to, which is gastric reflux, or the ability not to be able to eat anything and without making you sick. The second thing would be then, okay, well, yeah, I can relate to that. I can see that. Oh, okay, there's a solution for it. But the third thing is, what do I do next? Oh, yeah, you can buy it at Chemist Warehouse. Oh, great. There's one. I literally live across the road from a Chemist Warehouse myself. So I go, well, great. I can just walk downstairs, across the road, and there I can get Gaviscon, or I can get, Nexium, or whatever the tablet or the particular remedy happens to be. So, of course, we're first gone. We want to identify whether we're trying to get attention, whether we're trying to get people to consider us, or whether we're trying to get people to buy from us right now. Secondly, we identify what we want people to do. Do we want them to learn more? Do we want them to download a menu? Do we want them to book us? Do we want them to buy something for like Shop Now? And you'll notice in the Facebook ads platform and in Facebook's pages, you'll often be given those call to actions. Now, most of my call to actions I want is to either book a time with me for a free consultation, or I want to get them to go to a particular page on my website to find out more information, particularly in the consideration stage. But in the awareness stage, my only call to action would be, hey, you'd like to learn more? Here's where you can learn more, which is usually to go off to my website, or maybe to go to my YouTube channel where they can see a lot more about me. So first of all, identify what you want to achieve. Secondly, identify what you want people to do next. What's their next thing to do? And the third thing is to choose the objective that aligns with the action you want people to take. So what I'm saying is that if you want people to buy now, then an awareness objective is probably not the kind of thing you want. What you want for buy now is a conversion objective. And that's a conversion objective is basically saying, here's how you buy stuff. So I just need to really deal with the amount of emails I have coming through on Outlook right now. There is tons and tons of them coming through. I've just got to turn that off so that we don't have that all sort of take up all our time and attention, because it's rather annoying when that happens. I know when you hear that coming through in a webinar, it's a very annoying thing to have. So I'm just going to close that so I don't see all those coming through constantly, because there are a lot of them. There we go. Back again. Let's share and present and continue along the way. Just having one of those days where the emails are just coming in one after the other after the other. It's crazy. Then what you do is build creative that matches that. So the creative, now that's a big question. How do I build a creative that gets attention, like in an awareness? How do I build creative that's going to say, choose me? Or how do I choose creative that's going to say, book now, buy now, all that kind of thing? Well, that's going to come down to a whole bunch of decisions you make and with your business and how you want to do it and what your brand values seem to be. So I'm going to use an imaginary automotive company called Akemia Automotive. Akemia Automotive has particular business goals. They have an audience they want to advertise to. They have actions they want people to take, which means that they have to choose a particular objective they want to move forward with. So let's just say their business goals are that they want to build up a positive reputation as a leader of the luxury car industry. So they've got a very clear goal that they want to achieve. How do they achieve that? Where at the customer's journey are they? So they'll look at then the audience that they want to put this to is affluent stay-at-home mums of the age of 24 to 50. Apologies for the American spelling. The client will then run a brand awareness television commercial and Facebook ads. Last month, they included testimonials of parents who identify one of their cars as being kid-proof transportation that has unique elegance. In other words, a fancy Lexus SUV that we can pick up the kids from schooling, and they're not going to wreck it, and you're still going to look pretty, you're going to look pretty elegant driving it. So let's just say it's probably outside of a private school, one of the better schools in town, in one of the better suburbs in town. They want to look good while they're doing it. So it's a particular kind of affluent audience that they're trying to reach. So we know, first of all, that they want to get this positive reputation in the luxury car industry, and they want to do that with mums. They want mums to think this about them. So once they've got that idea in place, they want then those people who have those cars, they want them to share their posts with friends and family of their experiences with that car. They want them to show off a little bit. They want them to actually, show them what the life is like inside that car, and what the life is like with using that car, and the kids banging, crashing things about and not damaging this car. If there's any such car like that, I know about a dozen mums who'd like to know all about what that car is. And they want them to put that on Facebook and Instagram. So the campaign is not about buying a car just now. What it is about people with the car already, people who already know them, who already own those cars, to engage with Facebook and Instagram and show people examples of how they use the car, or the holidays they've been on, or the day-to-day stuff that's going to be on there. They want mums to share that information. So to do that, then they need to go and create something in an ad campaign or an organic campaign on their Facebook page that says that they want to create that buzz with content. And then we would say that they probably need to choose the objective engagement. Now, the reason for engagement is, if they're running an ad, for instance, on Facebook, is that that's exactly what they're looking for. If they're looking for people to post images and videos on their page and share those with the company, so they can use that as a way to say, oh, these are testimonials. So to create that buzz, they need lots of people sharing stuff, and that could be done via sharing a hashtag. It could be the hashtag of the company's name. It could be a hashtag of the campaign. Kid-proof car could be a hashtag kid-proof car, could be what they use to bring all that together. So the creative they're using in there is kind of generating from other people. They're not making these ads at all. They're getting people to do it for them. Share your experiences, share your car, share your outings, share your day-to-day, share your holidays and your special moments with our car, because you've made a big decision to buy a big expensive SUV. So we want to make sure that, well, you can show why you made that decision, and it's going to be shared with all your family and friends. They're going to think it's great, and it's going to be great for our brand as well. And when you post it, it's going to generate people commenting on it. And when people comment on it, then everyone in their network is going to see that as well. Great campaign. And that may be something that you might want to do. If you sell a physical product that people can pick up and touch and hold, and they can pick up this glasses case and show it off as a great glasses case, then that might be the kind of thing that you would do. There's many other ways, though. It's not the only way. You might have something you just want people to be aware of who you are. You may want people to just quickly go and buy that thing because you know darn well they know who you are, and they've plenty of followers and plenty of engagement, and you just want them to buy your stuff at your website. So then the creative decision you make on that will be different to what they had. They had creative they didn't even need to create. They basically just encourage people to share their stuff, which created the creative for them. In your case, you may have to make yours. And when we do start to make our own, we've got to consider that, well, 3 billion people across Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp pretty much always on their mobile phones. There was a time when Facebook didn't work on a mobile phone. There was a time when Instagram didn't work on a desktop. These days it works on everything. And 3 billion people are now marching around this planet, playing around with their phones. They're using Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, Tinder. They're swiping left and swiping right, interacting with their phones. So we have to make sure that anything we create these days, and this is part of your strategy, is to make sure it works for mobile first. It's not going to work on a canvas that's going to be wide like on a YouTube channel. It needs to work in something like a square or the full mobile size that needs to be quick and easy to consume. It should take no thought whatsoever. Consider that you are marketing to a 5-year-old and their level of comprehension and attention. So that gives you an idea of how quickly you need to get to the point, how quickly you need to get attention, how quickly you need to be able to maintain that interaction with someone. So you only do that as long as it's quick for it to load, quick for it to understand, and very, very easy to consume or act on. And to do that, it has to get their attention in the first place. So it needs to be immediately relevant to them. It cannot be something which you're posting to mums between 25 and 35, and then it's all about blokes and beards and beer. That's not going to work. It's not going to attract their attention, because that's not what the by far the majority of mums between 25 and 35 are really interested in. So you've got to make sure that when they see it, it's relevant to the person you're trying to get to. And then third, that it's going to be then further tailored to what their interests are, what their habits are, how they live their life. That's part of the relevance. You don't just get relevant by making it a pink background because you're trying to go for women. That's not enough these days, because I've got a pink shirt that I wear constantly, and I love the color pink. And one of my brand colors is pink. Pink and purple and navy blue are my brand colors. But am I necessarily going to react to something that's pink in the feed? Maybe, maybe not. In fact, I probably would, because it would get my attention, because so few things in my feed, in ads and posts and all that, ever have pink as a major color in them, because people assume because I'm a guy that I'm not going to respond to that. The problem is that everybody is trying to get to me with black and white and gray on their feeds and thinking like, oh, why isn't it working? Well, maybe have a look at what everybody else is doing and do the opposite. So swap it around, do some navy blue for women, do some hot pink for guys, and get their attention. But then not just their attention in the color, you need to produce something that makes sense to them, that actually has some relevance to their life. So if we're doing that, we've got to have a bit of a realistic view of what's in our feeds today. In our feeds are posts from friends and family, and there's lots of posts and ads from business as well. So in the middle of all that, we need to get attention, because there's not really a great deal. Now, most people are not really scrolling through going, oh, that's an ad, that's an ad, that's an ad, even though it can say sponsored. It's still really content. As you go down the feed in Facebook or Instagram, you can see it's just content, whether it's paid for or not. So at some stage, the posts from friends and family and the posts from ads from businesses kind of meld in, and they all look the same. It all looks like the same stuff. It all comes from like a same kind of, everyone's reading from the same playbook in Canva when they're doing these things together. So we need to find that happy medium between posts from friends and family and posts from ads and business, and then blow that out of the water and create something that grabs attention. Some of the stuff I love is the ads that are being made with characters, with furry costumes, like a panda bear that's walking across the road, introducing people to digital marketing as a service. Or it could be the Bundy bear doing some stuff for Bundaberg rum, although advertising alcohol is probably not the greatest thing to do on something like Facebook or Instagram. But those things grab attention. They get your attention. A puff of Holy Festival powder with colors gets attention. Explosions, swirls, movement, video primarily gets attention. And that's where it all starts. How do you stand out? The number one way of standing out is simply by using video. Now, I say simply, video posts and ads tend to get attention way better than static images do. Now, that particular shot that Coke used for their summer trip campaign, and I'm just going to click on that again to play it, that is something you could do. You could actually have someone drinking out of that in front of a video, unveiling a message really, really easily. It doesn't have to be Coke. It could be milk. It could be chocolate milk. It could be hot chocolate. Anything that's in a clear glass could so easily be done. And that movement immediately draws attention. Also, it makes me thirsty. So I'm going to pick up my Pepsi. Sorry, Coke, Pepsi Max. And take a sip of it, because it immediately made me a bit thirsty. It almost made, oh, okay, yeah. Monkey see, monkey do. I see something like that, it makes me thirsty. And I think of it like my lack of ice in my drink is making me feel like my drink is like 48 degrees Celsius rather than, at 1 degree Celsius that it would be with all that lovely ice in it. Video posts definitely perform way better than static images do. A static image or even a collection of images don't get that same kind of attention on the feed as a video does. Does it mean you need to make a lot of video? These days, you kind of have to start considering it. You have to start to consider movement. You have to start to consider what's in your environment that's interesting to have movement. Sometimes the most important creative decision you'll make on movement is putting yourself in the picture, making you the person who's moving, walking around, making decisions. I had a great tip from a guy called Harrison Cantel, who's a guy I follow on LinkedIn. And he's a video maker. He works in a lot of videos for social media over in the UK. And he said, if you want to get movement, you want to get some attention in the feed, but you're really nervous about like talking to camera, Pick up a whole bunch of your belongings in a hallway and just scatter them down the hallway randomly. Just throw them down the hallway. So what you're going to do, you're going to walk down that hallway and constantly have to be looking down to not trip over, but keep talking. And this is what it does. It takes all the attention away from you being nervous about what you're saying. And your mind is too busy trying to work out that you're not tripping over things. And you're doing interesting things like stumbling, and it's entertaining for someone to watch you do that. Even you might swear a little bit along the way, go, oh, ew, as you nearly trip over something. It adds a little bit of entertainment. And because you're not thinking about every word you're saying, it's flowing naturally and it's entertaining, and your natural personality comes out. That's a fantastic way to get more comfortable with video. When it comes from video, then we go to things called carousels. And carousels are really great because they allow you to create a bit of a story like this one. So for a Tesco food in the UK, we're looking at a food abacus. So I'd call it more like a kebabacus maybe. So you got eggplant down at the beginning, then you got different kinds of capsicum moving up to the corn, and then onto the top of it, which is zucchini and mushrooms at the very, very end. It creates a really engaging thing that makes you want to swipe through the next bit, swipe through the next bit, swipe through the next bit. It starts off with the first bit with the eggplant, and you can see there's more, so you swipe across more and more. This one's showing particularly on Instagram, but you can get that same thing going on Facebook as well. The beauty of it on Facebook is, though, that you can see what the next thing, half of what the next screen is. Whereas on Instagram, you can only see the first screen, and as you go through, it creates that feeling of you're scrolling through a story. But on Facebook, it's even then more visible because you can see that the first half of the second image contains capsicum, and it makes you want to go sliding across so you see more. Now, are these very good things to engage with? Absolutely. Because what they do, they force you to engage with the content. They force you to work with what's there because you can't help it. The curiosity is killing you. You want to do it. You want to see what else is on there. If it's something to do with a collection of shoes and you're looking for new shoes, you want to see what those shoes are doing. If there is a collection for, a product that you can buy and take home with you, then that's ideal. You want to do that as well. Then you've got instant experiences. So this is where you can have ads which open up, say, a lead generation form, or add up what we call an instant experience, which is on the mobile. It can have your storefront on Facebook or Instagram. It can have an instant form to fill out. You can have this storytelling where you have a combination of stories being told in text and video and beautiful images that tells that story for you. You have lookbooks which say, okay, this is what this outfit looks like. There's a way of doing an ad that creates a lookbook as well, particularly if you're doing fashion and you're selling all those accessories. Anything you'll notice that invites some kind of interaction. So a video makes you want to watch it because it's moving, but these things then allow you to interact a lot more. And that's a really powerful way to get people to do your stuff. For instance, this could have been the series of stories on Instagram that someone's done from a conference they're going to. So they're looking at, just taking it all in as we anticipate the keynote. Here's our fearless leader who always has a great shoe. Here we are engaging with people. Here's the appreciation at the end, giving them flowers at the end. So you're going through a journey. And stories are essentially that. They're telling a story at the beginning, before the keynote. Here's the person going up in their great shoes. Third one is, here's the engagement happening with the presentation. And finally, we get to the very end of it. Now, that could be your day. Going to the office, arriving in the office, doing my work, and then all done for the day, let's go. Now, is that interesting to people? I'll tell you now that over the last year and a half, I've stopped looking at the Instagram feed because it's so boring. It's so full of people just showing off the highlight reel of their life. I call it all the best parts, all the sexiest parts, all the parts that make them look fancy. But in the stories, you see so many more journeys through people's day. And I find that fascinating. And before I know it, I'm becoming very engaged with whatever it is they're doing, their course they're selling, their services they're selling, or the product they're selling, not because they're putting it in front of my face and going, buy my Pepsi Max. They're going, no, learn a bit about me, learn a bit more about what I'm doing. So the creative decision you're making there is to go, I am going to be a storyteller. And being a storyteller means carrying that into your day. Now, I'm bad at stories. I keep forgetting to do them. But when I do them, oh my God, I get the greatest interaction. Far more people engaging with stories than what they do with me on Facebook's feed or Instagram's feed. The stories definitely outperform, and you'll start to see much more story content starting to make it into the feed as well, as it becomes the primary way that people interact. Because you got to think about it. that interaction part of it is really important to offer some method of interaction, because on mobile, we doom scroll. They call it doom scrolling. That you're just constantly just scrolling through content, the next thing, until something grabs your attention and you happen to stop on it. So given that's the way, we've got to then grab something that, number one, grabs attention, but secondly, gives something where people can interact. If something is interacting immersive, we'll often stop on a mobile for a long period of time, turn our phone from this way to actually consume that piece of content and go, okay, I'm going to spend a lot more time watching that now. So we think of people of having a very short attention span on mobile phones isn't necessarily always true. In fact, some people can spend so much time on their mobiles watching things like TikTok that they lose all sense of time and where they're at in their day, that it actually gets them to thinking, oh, wow, I actually really need to cut down on my usage of social media and watching videos. So immersive content, then, this is a whole new level that you can go to. And this is where we start talking about things like the metaverse and interactive worlds and all that sort of thing. This campaign I'm about to show you is a little bit of a mix of that immersive content world. It will start off with something like, say, for instance, this idea that you're going to pitch an idea, you're going to let people play with your idea, and then they're going to take the plunge to get more involved with you. So what I mean is, let's say, for instance, in this case, there's an invitation to play a game with these people. So here's, oh, you want to play a game? Yep, let's go play a game. This is what the game looks like. Do you want to play with this game? Well, click on the link that's going to be provided here, and you can start playing that game. See, you click on the button and allow you to start playing that game in Messenger. So they're using a messenger game that allows you to be immersed in it using what we call AR, Spark AR, which is an augmented reality tool that Facebook and Instagram uses to build these interactive immersive experiences. You introduce the idea of something that's going to be much more immersive, and you're inviting people into it. So step one of your creative is saying, here's an invitation. Step two, and that's going to appear in the news feed or Instagram feed. It could appear in stories as well. Step two is where they're actually going to play the game. So this interactive game, the ball drops and you put your head up and it lets it bounce. You keep that ball going up as much as you can in the time you've got an allowance for. So there you go. So she scored 9 points and it's finally got down 10 points. She's still going well. The viewer actually plays with the content, and it's been created a thing called Spark AR. So you're using things like, you're doing this in stories, in instant experiences, having interactive video, which is something that can be done on Facebook these days with the right tools. You have to obviously know how to use those tools. Third is the plunge, where we're going to take the plunge in and we're going to go, okay, we're going to interact more deeply. And this case, it's a live video or a broadcast that's counting down with 11 minutes and 30 to go before this apparently famous football player is going to start interacting with you on a live video. So they can plunge into a much more deep interaction with you. It could be exclusive content on your website, or it could be live video. Now, of course, this is Lay's, who we know here as Smiths, I think we call them here, chips. So it's a place where you're not just running ads, you're not just running creative stuff, you're taking people on a journey. You're actually planning for them to be invited into an experience which they can then run, and then when that experience lets them do something next, the important thing there is, what's next? If I see something in your feed and it comes through and it's advertising your business, my curiosity as a human being, and when I start to interact with it, what's next? So that's great, that's an ad, fantastic. What's next? Am I going somewhere? If you don't have a direction to send people to, then they don't know where to go to and they won't go anywhere. So to understand how these all place and where you're going to put stuff on social media, and I put, TikTok is pretty much the same as stories in Instagram or Facebook. They're pretty much the same kind of thing. Short format video that's sort of entertaining, very, very short, sharp, and to the point. With feeds, they're the most place where you're going to put things: Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, all work on the idea of feeds. So in the case of Facebook and Insta, the Facebook news feed or the Instagram feed is where this happens. And it can happen both on the mobile and on the desktop. And using square 1:1 or 1080 by 1080p sized images is perfect. Even better is if you're working for mobile first, you do that in a 4:5 ratio, which is, it's basically like the TV turned on its side. So your laptop that you're watching this on right now, turn it over on its side, and that's the dimensions you're working with. And it works on both mobile and desktop. and it works really great with things like images, videos, and slideshows. So when you're choosing your creative, you're choosing for feeds, these are the decisions you need to make. When you're choosing for stories, though, this is a full screen experience, and I haven't got the right video there, but a full screen experience doesn't just take up a part of the screen like that Grimbergen beer is. It takes the whole screen up. It's a full screen vertical video, and it only works well on a mobile. It only fills the screen on a mobile. So it's ideal for images, yeah, very, very good for videos. Less so for slideshows, but really, really powerful way to deliver your videos. Let's look at the rules and the best practices quickly, because I know we're running out of time. There's two areas we need to look at, which is community standards and ads policies, and they will guide you on what the best practice is for working with Facebook and Instagram when it comes especially to the kinds of content you can and cannot have. These on screen, avoid like the plague: adult content, tobacco, gambling and gaming, live animal sales, drugs and weapons, hate groups. And the big one, which I get people with all the time is, oh, but I'm trying to sell a product and make my business. Okay, what's your business? Oh, it's doTERRA essential oils. Like, yeah, nah. It's a multi-level marketing, network marketing business. Those things are not allowed to advertise on Facebook and Instagram. The reason is not because your product is so bad or because you're a pyramid scheme seller or you're a bad person. It's simply because people are constantly getting ripped off by these things. And the feedback from the users of Facebook has been, we don't want to see this stuff. It's all get rich quick making schemes. We don't want to see any of this. We don't want to be ripped off. And these schemes, unfortunately, do rip off millions of people every year who have delivered a promise that isn't delivered then in terms of reality. Most of your platforms consider not just what you've got on Facebook, but also where you're sending people to, particularly when it comes to running ads on Facebook. They scan not only your ad for what's appropriate and what's not, they also go to your landing page, your website, and scan that as well. And if they find things that like hate speech or it's a bait and switch that isn't right for what you've been advertising, you will be banned. It's something that happens rather quickly. Another area to avoid is personal characteristics, mentioning people by their size, by their level of fitness or lack of fitness, their religion, their age, or even their name. Referencing any of those things in an ad is considered to be not right. Those things won't be allowed. While you might be going, instead of saying, hey, Michael, are you a Christian? Then you would love this. Rather than that, you're saying find Christian singles in your area, because you're not looking at that person's particular characteristics. You're saying this is what they're interested in. They're interested in Christian singles. Therefore, you won't be going, hey, since you're a Christian, you should love this. You're just saying, actually, I've got a service that points to Christian singles. I've got a service that points to weight loss. But I'm not telling you you're fat. I'm just saying that I've got a weight loss service you might be interested in. Vulgar language is an obvious one. If you're going to start querying and carrying on, people are going to report you and you're not going to last too long on the platform. Spelling and grammar as well is something which you should check. Make sure you spell things right. Ads will be knocked back if they've got incorrect spelling and grammar, if they consider that it's not easy for people to understand what's being advertised. And of course, get rich quick schemes don't just mean MLMs. They also mean Bitcoin and cryptocurrency scams. All that sort of thing should not be advertised, which is why 80% of the hacked ads that are put onto people's feeds, and when they hack your account and start putting ads out there about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and NFTs. So those sort of things are just not going to be on there. Now, I mentioned the landing page before as a place where people go to. What they're looking for is that if you're pointing to something on Facebook, it has to be a business page or a group within Facebook, not just Facebook itself or someone's profile. You can't send someone to a profile in an ad. What you can do, though, is make sure that you have not country restricted. So if you're putting an ad out to people in America, Canada, the UK, and New Zealand and Australia, but people in Canada can't access your page because you've country blocked it, your ad will be not allowed to go through. You want to make sure all browsers can see this ad. If it's going to be appearing on desktops and mobiles, then it needs to be able to be viewable on desktops and mobiles. It's not going to be flagged by security trust services, which they rate whether your site is full of malware or dishonest material. And of course, no prohibited products and services like all the adult stuff, weapons, all the stuff we talked about before. Now, when it comes to effectiveness, this is a place where you want to be able to very easily measure whether what you're doing is right. And testing is going to save you a whole lot of time and money. By testing, I mean, I think called A/B testing, where you're looking at the difference between, say, colors. So it might be a red button or a green button. It could be a pink background or a blue background. It might be a different image. So you're running two things side by side, particularly useful in the ads platform. You can run two ads that do exactly the same stuff, go to the same place, sell the same thing, but have a different image in them, or a different color, or a different font, or they go to a different landing page. And then you measure which one of those ones, one that's operating the best. And then you go, okay, cool, that's the best one. That's the one I'm going to run with. You can also do A/B testing between different audiences, different locations, different interests, ages, genders, all that sort of stuff. The idea is then you'll double down on the things that work best for you, that you creatively put together, and then just stop doing the things that aren't working. It's a really easy thing to do. Ads platform allows you to do it. You can even do this in, say, this Monday, you do something with a pink background. Next Monday in your post that you're putting out to Facebook, you do it on a blue background, and you look at what one's performing best. And you repeat that test over and over and over until you find the right combination. Same with what we call a lift test. A lift test is something you do where you go, okay, I'm going to measure what's come through to me of people who have seen my ad against people who haven't seen my ad. And that's called an awareness lift or a brand lift test, where you compare those who have seen the ad compared to people who might probably haven't seen the ad, might have seen a post, or they kind of know about you from other channels, and allows you to then to do things like Citibank in Thailand, who ran a series of ads that they tested. One was with videos, the other one was with images only. And then they tested a third type, which was ads that had both an image, but with some movement and animation. What they found was they had a more than 50% lift of people landing on their landing page and continuing the journey when they used a static image with animation. So they weren't using a video. The end product was a video, but they weren't making a full production video. They were making animations around static photos of people. Same thing happened with Ford Mexico, who videoed things on terrain and then also had other videos in the city. And they found that the video that contained terrain and the city actually performed better, with 62% more landing page views when they showed both of those in the same ad. So what I want you to walk away with today is, before you make any creative decisions, understand what it is you want to achieve. Do you want people to buy? Do you want people to be aware of you? Do you want people to be considering you when they're thinking about buying the next thing that you do? Do you want people, you're going to know who you want to do this with. So you need to know who you're targeting, so you know what they like and what's going to appeal to them. And then once you know what they like, you then test it to make sure they actually do like that, because having a hunch is never enough. Going with gut feel on social media ain't going to work. It's testing. You go with data. And you test and test and test again until you find the right combination. Then you keep testing as well, because people's tastes change and those combinations are going to change. And then always, always stay within the rules.